A balanced college list is the single biggest stress reliever in the entire application process. I'm going to say that again because most students learn the hard way. A balanced college list is the single biggest stress reliever in the entire application process. If your list is balanced, meaning you have schools you're likely to get into, schools that are about right, and schools that are a stretch, all of which you'd actually be happy to attend, all of which you can afford, you've already won the hardest battle of senior year. This week, we build that list. Hi, I'm Dr. Heather Case. Welcome to week 11 of From Stressed Out to Standout. Last week, we ran the math on the test scores. The week before, we widened the map of colleges so you know all of the colleges that exist. Now we put it together, the list, not the dream list, the real list. There's a piece of advice you've probably already heard apply to some reach schools, some target schools, and some safety schools. That's the right idea, but most students apply that advice without ever defining the terms, and the result is a list that isn't actually balanced. So let me define those terms. A likely school, sometimes called a safety, is a school where your academic profile is at the top half of the admitted students. The school admits more than half of the applicants, and you would actually be happy to go there. All three. A school you wouldn't be excited about isn't a safety. It's a backup you might regret. A target school is one where your profile lines up with admitted students. The school admits somewhere between 30 and 60% of the applicants. You're realistic, not lucky. A reach school is one where your profile is below the average admit, or the school admits fewer than 25% of applicants. The most selective schools in the country are reach schools for almost everyone, including students with 4.0s, perfect test scores. That's just math. Here's the balance most students need. 8 to 12 schools total, 2 or 3 likelies, 4 to 6 targets, and no more than a couple of stretch schools. If your list is all reaches, you're playing the lottery. If your list is all likelies, you're undercutting yourself. Both create problems in April. Now, if you're a parent watching this, one note for you. I've watched well-meaning parents push their kids to add reach schools to a list that's already heavy on reaches. The instinct's understandable. You want the best for your child. You think aiming high is the right move. But here's what aiming high actually costs. Every reach application is more essays, more time, more fees, and the possibility of another rejection letter that will sit in your student's email box in March. 3 or 4 of those are character building, but 8 of them, on top of the essays for the targets and the likelies, are burnout in waiting for the student who has to write them and for the family who has to live through the spring with the resulting letters. Trust the balance. 2 or 3 reaches picked carefully is enough. The list works because it's balanced, not because it has the most ambitious names on it. Here's how I have students research a school, not how the school markets itself. First, read the student newspaper for the last 3 months, online, free. The headlines tell you what the students are actually talking about. Culture, controversies, mental health, food quality, where they live. Second, search YouTube for the school name plus dorm tour, but not the official admissions ones. Look for current students doing their own tours. Same with day in the life. You'll see the real campus. Third, look up the school's retention rate. How many first years come back as sophomores? What's the 4-year graduation rate and the 6-year graduation rate? Both are public. Below 80% retention is a signal. Students are leaving. Find out why. Fourth, read the common data set, section H1, financial aid. How many students receive aid? What's the average package? This research will take about an hour per school. For 10 schools, that's 10 hours over the next month. It's the highest return on investment time you'll spend on this process. Let me tell you about a student I'll call Amara. Her parents both work in healthcare. Their plans for her had always been clear. A strong state university, in-state tuition, saved the family money. That was the smart move, and Amara knew it. But as Amara built her list, two schools kept catching her attention. Both were small liberal arts colleges in different parts of the country. Neither was a name her parent recognized. Both, when she researched them, fit her dimensions better than any school on her parents' list. Telling her parents was hard. They'd never heard of these schools, and they worried about the reputation, the distance, the cost. But Amara did three important things. She wrote up a one-page explainer on each school, what it offered, what type of students attend there, where the graduates go, what the financial aid landscape looks like for her family. She booked a virtual visit and brought her parents into it. And she added both schools to her list as targets, while keeping the state flagship as a likely. She got into both of the small colleges, and with aid, one of them came in cheaper than the state flagship would have been. Her parents were surprised, even shocked. Then they were proud. That's where she decided to go in the fall. The lesson isn't that small colleges are always cheaper. They're not. The lesson is that the list works when it's been researched honestly, and that telling your family why a school made your list matters as much as the application itself. So 3 things to do this week. 1, open your journal, make a list of 15 schools you'd actually consider. Use what you learned in week 9, types of colleges, hidden gems. For each school, write 1 sentence about what specifically makes it interesting to you. 2, for each school, label it L, T, or R, likely, target, or reach. Use real admission rate data. The common data set is your friend. And 3, call. You're aiming for a final list of 8 to 12, 2 or 3 likelies, 4 to 6 targets, 2 or 3 reaches. If any school doesn't have a real why, cut it. If your list is unbalanced, rebalance it. This is the version of the list that you will carry with you into senior year. And one last thing. A balanced list isn't about playing it safe. It's about giving yourself real choices in April. The students who suffer the most in this process aren't the ones with imperfect grades or imperfect scores. They're the ones whose list left them with no good options when the letters arrived. Don't be that student. Build the list, trust the balance, let go of the dream list, and make a real one. Next week, week 12, we talk about money, the real kind, not the sticker price, the net price. We're going to teach you how to read what a college will actually cost your family before you ever submit an application. Subscribe so that I can see you next week. And before you go, I want to remind you of something very important. You are so much more than your application. I want you to know that your story matters. I hope you will tell it bravely, tell it honestly, and know that I'm always here cheering you on. I'll see you next week.